My first point was you don't have to be a real estate tycoon in order to buy a piece of property in cash and develop it. You can actually do it with just one property for you and your family and still get an exponential return on your investment by developing that property over time. My second point is you can use it while you're improving it. So you're still getting value. It's not something you have to wait on.
You can change me, you can tell me down. I'll be there, goes every place I find. I'll break the molds with rebels mind. I'm a hurricane, a free born mind. I remember.
Then my third point is even though you're using it, you're not losing any of it. It's not a consumable resource like money if you spend it, unless you're spending it on something like land. You spend it and then you don't have it. You can use it without depleting its value. You can actually use your land without depleting its value. While you're using it, actually, you can improve it and increase its value. So what other investment is like that? What other investment can you use right away and add joy and value to you and your family? What other investment can you use and then not consume it all? But it becomes better even as you use it and as you improve it.
Lost again, going back around, dreaming of a time when I get things right. Lost in the shadows of a million stars, shouldn't they enlighten my near and far?
It's the dark robot room. The robot's so scary. So crazy. Get that walk. I gotta run. I gotta run. And this is my brother Chance. This is my house. And this is my bathroom. This is my mom. And she likes stuff to be quiet. Sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lose my mind.
My brother Noah, he always wastes his bubble. Benjamin is the opposite of quiet. Isn't that right?
What is up, Resurrection Ranch family? And I am here today to declare that these dry bones can live because of the breath of Jesus Christ being blown into us every single day. I'm super excited to be coming to y'all today because this is part of my testimony, y'all. Jesus really taught us and showed us one of the most valuable investments here on this physical earth. And he moved us from the city to a piece of land that we could develop, that we could see his glory in, and that would give us a return on our investment. So land actually is something that I never thought about. I'd always lived in a subdivision in the city, and I never knew anything or had the desire to know anything different. And then one day, once Tim and I were married, well, when we first got married, we did live on some family land in a little trailer. And so that was nice. I was able to experience living on land. There was a little pond there that we had to hike through the woods to find on on his family's property. So that was a good experience, and I did experience just a taste of it when Tim and I first got married. However, I just always lived in the city and never thought about how valuable land is, not just in cash money, but the value that it adds to you, just in your experience, your daily life and your daily experience. And so, hands down, Jesus has shown me that land, us having land, owning land, especially debt-free, y'all, has been one of the most valuable investments that Tim and I have made, hands down. So when you talk about investments and your 401k and your retirement, definitely do those things. But there may be something that you've never thought about, like me, which is land, owning land and having the experience of working the land, of improving the land. And it's just something that I never thought about, never value. I just thought if you were going to invest in real estate, you would have to be some real estate tycoon, right? That would be the only way that you could have land as an investment, would be to own properties and flip properties and do things like that. But that's not true. And here's where we get to the part that's my testimony. So when Tim and I first got married, we eventually moved to the city pretty soon, about a year or so after we got married, because that was our goal. We wanted to live and minister in the city. The Lord had showed us a particular part of Jackson to live in and minister in, and that was our goal, and we moved there and we did that. I did not know what all the Lord had planned, because I think it's hard because I don't know exactly where this started, but Tim brought home some chickens, and we were both in agreement. We decided to raise chickens in our backyard, and we were hooked. From that moment on, we had the farm vision, we had the farm dreams. We were just raising just a simple little flock of chickens, but we enjoyed it so much, and Jesus used those flock of chickens to minister to us that we could actually raise our own food, have our own meat. We lived in a city, but we butchered chickens on our front porch. We butchered pigs in our front yard. But we really, from that point, once we started with the chickens, we wanted land so that we could expand the vision that the Lord was giving us, to grow our own food and to have a farm. So it started very small, and we didn't have land, but the Lord Jesus told us to maximize what we had. So we maximized every inch of our backyard, and we had a rabbitry, IAG rabbitry. We had the IAG chicken coop, and we also bred dogs, and we sold puppies, and we had a kennel in our backyard where we had our dogs. We had Rottweilers at that time. So we literally maximized every inch of our backyard. We even had gardens. We grew some amazing things. We grew a patch of strawberries. We actually used our chicken coop and moved it, and we used the ground that had become fertilized by the chickens. We let it rest. We tilled it, and we used that plot to grow some strawberries. We grew peanuts. We grew all types of things. It's funny because I have a child that's allergic to peanuts, but we did grow peanuts. But those are just the things that I'm remembering that come to my mind. But we grew a lot of different things over the years and harvested them. Lima beans, that's how we really learned to like lima beans. We grew lima beans. But my point is, we maximized every inch of that backyard. And y'all see the smile on my face because I'm talking about it. But it was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed maximizing the backyard that the Lord had given us at the time. And yeah, so once we had done that, we're still looking for land, still looking for property, and we were saving, working towards our goals, and eventually we had the opportunity to purchase this property, and we were able to do so in cash. Y'all have seen some of my earlier videos about stacking cash. Hopefully you have. If you have not, go back and look at those. But we were able to stack cash. We had businesses that we were working, and so we were able, even though we had a certain income, to maximize that with other businesses and to earn more money and stack it away by budgeting. And then the excess, the margin that we had, we put away towards our goals. And one of those goals, once we got hooked and once the Lord gave us the vision to farm, was to own property. So when we bought this property, it was completely raw land. And part of the reason why we were able to get it and afford being able to buy it in cash was because it was raw land. It didn't have a house. It didn't have septic. It didn't have a water line. It didn't even have a water meter, y'all. It didn't have water. There was not even access to walk or drive on the property. We had to crawl through the ditch. So we had to install a culvert to be able to drive on our property and walk on our property without crawling through a ditch. So all those things needed to be done, but because we purchased the property in cash and we're debt free, we were able to build the property up ourselves little by little. So all the value that was added by the improvements of the property, we were able to reap the benefits of that because we did it ourselves. So if we made an improvement by getting a water meter, and that whole getting a water meter and doing all things, we did the piping ourselves to have a water spigot coming out of the water meter. Say that cost $500, but then the added value to having now water on this property increased the value probably, several times. That probably like $5,000 or $10,000 increase to the property now to have water access. So when you build the property up yourself, instead of paying someone else for all the value of the property, you pay for the improvements and add the value to the property. But then that increases how much your property then, multiple times increases the value of the property. Then, and you own it. So all that value that you've increased your property by then comes in your pocket. You had a property, say, that was worth $10,000, and then when you start to make the improvements that may cost $500 or a couple $1,000s, then you have a property that's worth $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000. So that rate of increase there is like nothing that you can get from a stock or a bond, right? It is huge for you and for your family when you're starting with a raw piece of land. And if you have the patience and if you have the discipline to do it, you are able then to increase the value of your property exponentially. And that was something that Jesus taught us. And you don't have to be a real estate tycoon or own multiple pieces of property for this to work for you. You could just have one property, and you could start with a raw piece of property, invest into it, put a house on it, put a mobile home on it, like we did, and increase the value of that property exponentially by every improvement that you make. And then I'm getting to something now, my second point, other than the fact that you don't have to be a real estate tycoon, that you can own one piece of land, invest into it, and exponentially increase your investment. My second point is that you then get to enjoy the fruit of your labor. So what Jesus taught me, that I was sharing before my testimony in the beginning about land, is the experience that you have when you own it and when you develop it. It adds value to you as a person. He's taught me so much about discipline and endurance and reaping what you sow by just me being a property owner. A lot of the things that I can look around and see now when I walk around our property, we had a hand in. I see this driveway, this spot where I'm standing, there was a huge fallen tree, and you could not see past this point of our property. It took faith for us to believe that we could have a driveway running through here. We didn't know if it was just a huge straight drop after this, but we saw the driveway. Literally, Tim and I sit at the front of the property, and we were both like, the driveway has to go right through there. And we couldn't physically see it with our eyes, but we saw it with our eyes of faith. So this whole process strengthened my faith. This whole process just brought me closer to Jesus, just in working the land and doing the improvements and owning animals and seeing, how God works in this physical realm. Just being simply around the plants and all the trees, it has changed me, and I absolutely love it. And so we were able to experience all of this just in seeing the raw piece of land become developed, and how we were able to do that little by little and piece by piece, and now seeing all that it has become. It's amazing. I mean, amazing. Everywhere I look around, it's developed. It has a driveway. This used to be a dirt driveway, and now we have rocks, and we're coming back to do more improvements even on the front of our property and on the driveway. But it's amazing to see what it has become through hard work, through discipline, and through the vision that the Lord gave us. Truly, truly, truly. It's been amazing. So while you are improving your property, your land, you're also experiencing it. Okay? So it's not just something that, like a savings account or like a 401k, or a Roth IRA or traditional IRA. It's not just something that you're storing away for when you turn 65 and a half or 67 or whatever the age is. It's not something you're just storing away for years and years later. You're investing in the land, but you're also getting a benefit from it while you improve it. You can also use it. You can use it for your chickens or your goats or your sheep or your cows or your horses, and have the experience even of farming it and having vegetables. We've done a lot of improvements with our fencing and our animals, so you can actually use the property, improve it, use it while you're improving it. You can use it while you're improving it, but you get the benefit of your property right away. You can use it. You can, even if you have to develop it a little bit. We had to clear some land, but I feel like we got benefit from clearing our land and clearing our property, the discipline that it taught me. So you're benefiting from the property while you're using it. It's not just saving something away in an account for a later date, but you can actually use it. So that's my second point, y'all. My first point was you don't have to be a real estate tycoon in order to buy a piece of property in cash and develop it. You can actually do it with just one property for you and your family and still get an exponential return on your investment by developing that property over time. My second point is you can use it while you're improving it. So you're still getting value. It's not something you have to wait on receiving value from. You can get value from it very soon after you own it, or even right away just by walking around it. And then my third point is, even though you're using it, you're not losing any of it. It's not a consumable resource like money. If you spend it, unless you're spending it on something like land, you spend it and then you don't have it. You can use it without depleting its value. You can actually use your land without depleting its value. While you're using it, actually, you can improve it and increase its value. So what other investment is like that? What other investment can you use right away and add joy and value to you and your family? What other investment can you use and then not consume it all, but it becomes better even as you use it and as you improve it? So that's what the Lord Jesus has taught us about land and its value. And I had no idea. Now, you can be a real estate tycoon, and once you own a property and you see how to do it and how to develop it, you can continue to invest in raw pieces of land or invest in land, but it doesn't have to be land with houses on it or land that's in a subdivision. You can invest in raw land and get a return on your investment. So you can take some of these principles and own more than one property, or you can just own one and still get value out of this investment. But my advice there is do it debt free, because then if the value of your land changes, whether up or down, if you've done it debt free, you can handle that, right? It doesn't have to be sold for a certain amount because you bought it in cash, and there's still, you receive all the value of that property. So that's my advice there. Do it debt free, and then all the value added to your property belongs to you. You're not paying out interest to someone else, and so you can kind of handle small changes in the prices of property value. But that's it, y'all. I did not know the huge value of land, not just green pieces of paper, but in your experience, in your life. And then it also does have, monetary value. You're able to increase the value that you put into your property, the money that you put into your property to develop it and make it better, increases the value of your property exponentially. So you end up with a property that's worth way more than what you pay for. Our property probably worth 20 times the amount that we initially paid for. Initially, we bought this property for around $8,000. Then we paid about $2,000 for a survey. So initial investment was around $10,000. It's probably worth at least 20 times that now. So just to give you a frame of reference, it can be done. It can be done in cash. I recommend that's the way that you do it. And y'all, the value added to you in more than just money is amazing. And that's my experience. That's my testimony. I couldn't go back and have it any other way. Well, we're always going to do what Jesus tells us to do. And so if we had to sell it today and he said sell it today, I would. But I'm just saying, I've enjoyed having land, having property, and it's changed me. And, no one can take that away. I still have that in here, the ways I've grown, the disciplines I've learned, the value that the property has added to me and my family is amazing. And this property, hey, if the Lord said sell it today, it would be just as more valuable even to the next person, even though we've used it, completely used it, and developed it and gotten so much out of it, it won't be worth any less to the next person. It will actually be worth more. So that's it, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy having life breathed into you. I just hope that Jesus was able to use this to encourage you in some way. So gotta let you know that these dry bones can live, and it is steep. All about God.